Hi, I'm Dave Rowan, Rowan Financial. I help people live lives that light them up. I'd like to talk to you about my story today and how I landed where I did in my business. So, in my 30s, I was running full sprint at a corporate job while raising 2 kids, taking care of a house. I was a newly minted manager. The pay was fantastic, but the environment was absolutely toxic. Insomnia started. Full-blown panic attacks rolled in. For those of you who experienced those, they are no fun. And for the next decade or so, I turned to medications and therapists to try to hold things together. It worked for a while, but part of me knew that something absolutely needed to change. So I had helped my dad with his finances, saw how much peace that brought to him in terms of his retirement, and I was drawn to start studying personal finance. I figured at the very least this would give me more options with my career and maybe someday, way in the distant future, be able to turn it into a business. So I studied for and passed the exam to become a certified financial planner. I picked up some clients along the way, among family and close friends, and thought, hey, I am on my way here. This was really an exciting period for me, and I began visualizing my triumphant exit out of my day job and transition into full-time entrepreneurship. But that initial trickle of clients never turned into the steady stream I'd envisioned. A few people signed on each year, and the business was growing, but I wasn't earning nearly enough to make the leap and ditch my day job. And sitting here today, I can see clear as day why that was, but at the time it remained a complete mystery to me how all of this effort and planning was getting me next to nowhere. A big part of it was how I was showing up in life, which was frantic and exhausted. I had taken that crazy full sprint schedule from my 30s and tacked on running a financial planning practice as a side hustle. I continued to advance up the managerial ranks, but continued to like my work less and less, and basically ran sunup to sundown 7 days a week on this schedule. The years drifted by. I continued to not take care of myself and continued to not get where I wanted to go with my business. And eventually I slipped into a deep depression. Without going into a whole lot of detail, I needed to check myself into a hospital 2 separate occasions. That was the safest place for me to be as I dealt with this. And on the way out of the hospital the second time, I left there on 4 different medications to get myself to sleep at night and have some semblance of functionality during the day. So it was at that moment that I reached probably the biggest crossroads of my life. I wasn't willing to do any more damage to my physical or mental health. I wasn't willing to sacrifice my family, and I sure wasn't willing to give up my calling to serve others as their financial advisor. And so that left one biggie in the boat, and that was my corporate job. Over the side it had to go, which it did. And it was probably the scariest thing I've done in my life. I was afraid I would die penniless and destitute if I gave up that paycheck. But it was what I needed to do. I very untriumphantly resigned from my big corporate job and transitioned into what was the most terrifying, but ultimately the most transformational part of my life. And it was during this time of struggle that I learned why I wasn't able to make the leap from full-time entrepreneurship or to full-time entrepreneurship on my own terms. And it forms the basis of how I coach business owners or people thinking about opening a business today. I learned 2 huge things for me in this process. First, I had to start with self-love and self-care, and these form the foundation of my business. If I'm not taking care of my mind and my body, how can I show up in a meaningful way to serve others? And so, taking the time to love myself enough to exercise, sleep enough, eat well, and many other aspects of my self-care laid the groundwork for me to be able to tackle the second aspect of my transformation, which was facing my really unproductive thoughts. We've all heard the phrase, actions speak louder than words. Well, I'm here to tell you that your thoughts scream louder than pretty much any willpower you can ever muster. And until you identify, untwist, and reshape thinking that's not serving you well, no amount of burning the candle at both ends is going to get it done. And so I needed to let go of thoughts like, you'd better hold on to that steady job and those benefits. You're lucky to have it and you better stick with it for as long as you can possibly stand to go in there. Or the ever-inspiring, hey stupid, most businesses fail in the first few years. What makes you think you can succeed? Or a real gem from deep within, such as, if I don't succeed in my business or my career, I have no value, I am not worthy, and I am not lovable. Huge, and just needed to let that one go from deep within. And so truly embracing this self-care and mindset work that I needed to do took many months. In fact, some of the hardest work I needed to do was simply sit and do nothing while feeling these thoughts, allowing them to course through me in all of their miserable glory, and then choosing a slightly better thought to allow me to move forward. But at this very low point in my life, that's when funny things started to happen. As I spent more and more time caring for myself, more and more time observing, nudging, and eventually completely shifting my thinking, and less time worrying about hammering through my to-do list, that's when the true magic happened in my life and my business. Eventually, I couldn't wait to get out of bed in the morning. The clients weren't there in big numbers yet, but I was alive with purpose to love myself so that I could in turn love and serve my clients in a big way. And new surprising things started happening in my business. I was showing up more energized. Existing clients increased the scope of their work with me. I was showing up in a higher vibrational state to social events, and people in my network started sending referrals my way. And I was showing up with more clarity on who I'm meant to serve, and more and better ideal prospects started appearing on my calendar. And it was at this time that what I envisioned all those years ago in my business finally happened. People came flooding in to work with me. I was able to start a successful second business with friends, and I now look forward to the start of every day. I'm a changed person. This has changed how I view life and business forever. And of course, when I work with entrepreneurs, we cover all the standard stuff to create a for-profit business, like cash flow planning, growing and protecting your current wealth, and how to attract financing from banks and investors if the project that you have is big enough that it requires that. But I also have the honor of helping my clients create for-love businesses, founded on a deep love for themselves so that they in turn can shine their light most brightly in the world and help those they serve do the same. So it's an honor to do this work, and I'm honored you took the time to watch my story today. And I'd love to hear your story. So what for-love business is deep within inside you that's ready to get out there? What's been on the shelf for years now, either not making any progress or not enough progress that you're ready to move forward with? Visit www.daverowan.com/yourstory and tell me about it. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks.